And incoming U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly quipped about making Canada the 51st state. And it's garnered an array of different reactions, ranging from shock and confusion, and now humor. Local nightclub, the Vancouver Penthouse, recently poked fun at Trump's statements on its marquee. Soon afterward, their social media account on X was quickly suspended. Benjamin Jackson is the bartender and social media manager, and he joins us in studio now. Good afternoon, Benjamin.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
So tell me, what does the marquee say?
Right now it says Forever Neighbors, spelt with the Canadian spelling with the U, and then Never Neighbors is the bottom line, which is the American spelling.
Right. The incorrect spelling, as
the
we like to say.
The incorrect spelling, correct, yes.
No, I hear that inspiration came to you in an airport. So how did you come up with it?
That's correct. I was in Toronto. I had a flight delayed 3 times. So I was just in the Air Canada lounge, and they just kind of have a loop of the news.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing. It was just constantly Donald Trump talking about absorbing Canada in the 51st state. And I was coming back home to essentially go to work. So I was talking to my boss, the owner, Danny Filipponi. And I said to him, I'm going to try to think of something on the plane. So when I land, we have something to put up on the marquee. And I thought of an original joke that to me, it was clever, but I don't think a lot of people would have got it.
Okay.
So right before the plane took off, that hit me somehow, some way. And I was able to get the text off before we had to turn our phones onto airplane mode and stuff. And by the time I had landed, he would text back that's the one, that's the one.
Yeah.
So I was still on East Coast time. So I got home. I lived 3 blocks away from the club. So I went and changed it at 2:30 in the morning, and then hadn't slept on the flight, came home, slept for 12 hours, woke up, and then everything was yeah. Honestly, I was afraid something bad had happened when you get that many notifications or something. I was and then I was shocked to see the response.
Well, and I mean, you've come up with incredibly clever and hilarious signs before, but this was like a powder keg was lit. What was everyone's initial reaction?
Before anything happened with the X or Twitter account, everything was very positive, very patriotic, pro-Canada. Mm-hmm. I thought we were kind of for lack of a better phrase, the voice for Canada of he's always so vocal and he gets so much attention on the news. Mm-hmm. So to have us have attention right back was was nice to see.
And it was quite, to me, it came across as very polite. It wasn't malicious in any way.
I thought the same thing, especially over the years. I've been doing the marquee for 7-8 years or something, and we've pushed the envelope, sometimes even argue across the line. But this was, in my opinion, had to have been the most innocent one. I just didn't think anything of it, to be completely honest. And I was shocked to see the response after, obviously, the account was suspended. Well,
and that's just it. A day after a photo of the Penthouse sign was posted on X, the platform, it shut down the club's account, citing hate speech. So what goes through your head when you hear that?
Well, the first thing, my heart dropped, obviously. You just see hate speech, and I was my God, that's the last thing I want to be associated with, or have the Penthouse. 100%. And they don't really give you too much information. It's kind of it's temporary, it'll be under review, and they kind of just leave you at that. So there is a link you can click on. And basically what it did is it sends you back to, it asked you to confirm your email. And I realized that I took over that Twitter account, X account, 7 years ago from an old GM, and it was still under his email.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't have any access to get any more information. So I was kind of just left in the dark. Yeah. And what I believe happened was, I think if enough people flag anything, by default, it'll get shut down. Mm-hmm. And then it just takes someone that works there to review it, realize it's not hate speech, and then essentially give us the account back.
So has that happened yet?
Yes. So what had happened was I was sending that, you get a link that was asking to confirm your email, and the GM that had the original account, nobody's spoken to him in 6-7 years. It's just been forever. Didn't really leave on great terms. So I didn't want to get a hold of him. So I was if I just send enough notifications, maybe he might just be all right, and take the first step for us.
Right.
And I believe that's what he did, because I kept checking the account, and then late yesterday it had a different page. It was almost like step 1, it was done.
Okay.
And now I was on to step 2. So I was oh, this is new. So I did the following steps, and it was confirm you're not a robot and stuff like that. But it was a little bit more intricate than normal ones. And essentially I got it back. So the part that is unsettling is that I'm sure they've sent him something with more information that I would love to have a peek at. I'm just afraid I might not ever get to see the actual, but that's fine. As long as we got the account back, I'm happy.
Okay, well, that is good. And that's a hassle and it's upsetting, but what does it do for business, to get a bump like this in the news?
So everybody, obviously, good publicity, all publicity is good publicity, stuff like that.
Sure.
there's no statistic and no way to find out if it generates more business, but I have to believe it must, We have been closed for the holidays, but we are reopening this week on Thursday. Even if you're coming down to take a photo of the sign and you're right at the door, you might be inclined to come in, or I've had people over the years too just come in to say hi or shake my hand or try to buy me a drink or something like that. So if it gets more people in the door, even on any scale, then obviously we'll take it.
And is that, the establishment being known more now, at times for your witty play on words, marquee signs? Is that something that was ever expected?
No, not at all. The first one we ever did, it was back, like I said, 7 years ago, give or take, and it was during the Pokemon Go craze. Mm-hmm. So it was released in America a year before we got it, but we could just see on the news how much how crazy it was going. So we kind of knew what we were in for.
Yeah.
So I just asked the owner, Danny Filipponi, if I could change the sign to rare Pokemon inside. I just thought that would be funny. And that one, it was the same thing. I went to bed, I woke up the next day, and it was like,
boom.
What's happening? Like, it was just, So the first one went viral. And after that, he was kind of like, okay. And then it just started with trying to make my friends laugh, staff members, stuff like that, and then over the years, it's just taken on its own life, basically. Like it's shocking.
That's a lot of pressure, though.
Yeah, well, I joke with Danny a lot, saying, I'm tapped out. There's nothing else I can say. It's only 2 lines, 20 characters a line. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I come up with or I think is funny, but you can't fit it on the sign. And if you take away from a joke too much, essentially, it's just not funny, right? So, I know instantly, like, if, for instance, like when artificial intelligence is becoming a thing, I was like, those are 2 big words that is going to take up, any joke I had wasn't really going to land. So I kind of know right away how much space I have to work with, or if I'm going to spend any time trying to brainstorm or think of something. This one was, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I just got lucky, realistically.
And I understand there are some T-shirts being made with the marquee
correct,
design?
yeah. So the T-shirt's been designed now. They wanted to put it, we were hoping to get it online, but in order to do that, you have to be approved by certain things to be able to sell stuff online.
Right.
So we're going through that. We don't assume we're going to have any hiccup, but at this point, at the very least, we will sell them inside the club. And the demand we've had just on emails, the Penthouse Instagram account, people calling the club and leaving voicemails, and then just friends reaching out, trying to sidestep the whole ordering process to trying to go through right to the source. But we're confident we'll have enough, even if we for some reason aren't allowed to sell online or we have a hiccup there, we're confident we'll do well just selling them throughout Vancouver with inside the club.
I have a feeling those are going to sell out very quickly.
Yeah, I'll show you a mock-up of it after the thing. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in, and can't wait to see what the next sign I'll see.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. Benjamin Jackson is the Vancouver Penthouse Nightclub's bartender and social media manager.